Well, here is another spectacular author. I just love working with Boomer Times authors because we choose them very carefully. And today we're going to talk about organizing your family legacy. It's a practical action plan for those you leave behind. And in the studio is Edward C. Meyers, who is the co-founder, CEO of Ape Press, LLC, which is a firm specializing in legacy planning and organization. The other co-founder, who is Sharon Nick, is not in the studio, but she certainly is a great part of this. So let's talk a little bit about this, and let's go from the very beginning. This is actually not something that you did years ago. This was not your, let's say, you didn't go to college to become anything like a gerontologist or somebody who understood what happens as people need to explain their life. So how did this all happen?
Well, it happened actually. I've been a caregiver too many times in my life, and my wife of 40 years passed away from ovarian cancer. And I always thought that I was an organized guy. I thought I was the guy. But I never realized that she really would pass away. And therefore, in the last week of her life in Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York, I wasn't aware that my daughter and my daughter-in-law, who's really my daughter, went to search for funeral homes and cemetery plot. They were smarter than I was.
Well, they also weren't as in deep, probably depression and disbelief.
So at that moment, I realized what I was putting these two wonderful kids through, and said that I have to do something about it. I have to educate people. I have to do whatever I could do to make them understand that there is an end, and to be prepared and to be organized. So I initially set out to make a book of lists. List your insurance company, list your life insurance, list your auto insurance, credit cards, banking perhaps. And I started to do focus groups and continued to do them over a 2-year period. And during those 2 years, which were different age groups, different demographics, I realized that people need a lot of help and guidance, and they have to be provided an action plan. You just can't ask them to put in the insurance information. Of course, that's all they'll do. They won't put in beneficiaries, or they won't put in a contingent beneficiary. They won't do the job. So my thoughts started to change, and the book, after the 2-year period, became an educational book, an informative book, and more importantly, an instructional book about what to do and how to organize yourself for the unknown, whether you become incapacitated or somebody else will be incapacitated.
Now, Ed, when I first met you, I said, I first saw this, I didn't really go through it carefully. I just saw the book. It looked very good. And I said, well, I have a great elder law attorney. And when I left after our estate plan, I have this big book, and it has a loose leaf, and it has pages, just like you said, just put in this, or this is what happens, and it's not like this. And I thought that was great. I have never looked at it. I've never done anything with it. It's just exactly what you're saying. But ever since I have met you, and I've looked at your book, I have been so thrilled with your book because it is so detailed. I mean, I have only gotten through probably the first 20 pages because there's a lot to do there. But it is so important because I could picture, as you know, I have a son who's an attorney, and he has a wife, and they have triplet children, 8 years old. Can you imagine something happens? Where is he? He's going to have to give up his practice. He's going to have to find things. This is for the love of them, isn't it?
It is a book of love. It's a gift of love. And some of the focus questions that were apparent are something as simple as a personal liability umbrella policy. If you have a home, whether it's a $200,000 home or $1 million home, you have a homeowner's policy which includes a certain amount of personal liability insurance. But if somebody comes to your home, trips over a hose, trips over one of your children's toys, and really becomes incapacitated, you could be sued for $1 million, $2 million. If you only have insurance of $200,000, the insurance company will gladly pay the claim, and then you're going to get a bill for $1.8 million from the plaintiff. Now, your life is over. They're going to lien the house, even though Florida has homestead. They'll lien the house so that when you ever sell it, they're going to get the first dibs on the house. Your life is over. So why don't you look into a personal liability umbrella policy?
Well, how would this... So you're saying that by reading the book, you'll know you needed that, where you may not. So this is more not just what you have, but what you ought to have.
This is what you ought to have, because the focus groups said they don't have it. They don't know about it. They don't know the simple thing about a safety deposit box, that if you were the only signator to a safety deposit box, the funeral parlor is obligated to notify Tallahassee, will then put a lock on that box so that nobody can get to it until it goes through the probate process. Now you might ask, what's probate? It's in the book. Read about it. Tells you what probate is, where the court assigns an attorney that's responsible for the box until they can prove concrete who owns it and who the beneficiaries are.
Oh, but wait a minute. But what if, you have a living will, you have the trust, but you didn't give your kids the key? How are they going to get into the safety?
If they are not a signator
right.
to the box, they don't get in.
I read that.
Doesn't matter.
Here.
They don't get in. The court takes over. So the answer, and the book provides the answer, you must have several signators. You must have your daughter or your son or somebody, because once there's more than one signator, then they can't lock the box.
Oh,
so that's another thing that became apparent in the focus groups, and just expanded the book, which started out to be a 20-page book of lists. It's now 264 pages. It's hardcover. It's a lay-flat book, so that when you fill it out and complete it, the book doesn't, flop over and knock your hand out. So it's a very comfortable book to work with and very easy to fill out.
I mean, I have to just tell our listening audience that I've been doing this for many, many years, as everyone knows, and I've never seen anything like this. It is the most complete. I would hope that every financial planner, every lawyer who deals in elder law, anyone who has the opportunity to pass this along to an older adult, and actually to children who do have older adults, they should have this. It's really mind-blowing. It's so good.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Anita. I self-published this book under Ape Press, as you know, and my first target market are professionals, estate planners, financial planners, people that deal with a lot of people. I want to get this book out as fast as I can. I've shown it to independent living facilities, funeral parlors. There are so many people that want to use this book as a gift. If you've got a client, this is a wonderful place to inside cover. You're right, dear Al, thanks for being a client these past 30 years, and you sign it. It's also a book where we can put on the face of the book, we can imprint the professional's branding, his logo, his name, address, whatever he wants, within the square of a business card, 2 by 3 inches, right on the front. So that becomes a personal book of theirs that they're giving out to their clients.
My guest, actually, I want to just tell you about him, Edward Meyers. He has quite a history. He is the co-founder and CEO of Ape Press, a firm specializing in legacy planning and organization. But after facing a pair of pivotal life events, which he just told you about, he, together with co-founder and president Sharon Nick, created the company's flagship product, Organizing Your Family Legacy. He is a serial entrepreneur, a management consultant, and a classically trained electrical engineer, founding and managing several successful multi-million-dollar companies. I was very impressed with him when I first met him for many reasons. I mean, he's not only attractive, full of personality, but he's very passionate about what he has now discovered. And in that turn, I have become very passionate about it, and I am going to urge people to get on the website. The website would be apepress.com, apepress.com. You'll be able to see the book there. You'll be able to purchase the book. It is extremely inexpensive for what it is, but it will save your life in a sense, the life that, actually, I was thinking about this. Actually, should be things in about your children because maybe they need to have this and they don't think they have it. So maybe you could sneak in a few pages about, I don't think it has anything in about your grandchildren, does it? Did I miss that?
Well, there are personal sections like
personal. Here,
where
that.
You want to talk about the next generation.
Right. But you could add some things in there because a lot of people, it's amazing. You could be a close friend and not even know all the children that your friend has.
That's
or
true.
The grandchildren. So you do have a lot of blank pages here, there, which you could put that in. I think I told you about my father being an attorney, and he thought he had everything done. And when we were trustees, and we knew where his bank accounts, most of them, and there were always a few that kept popping up. We didn't know where a lot of things were. And there were other things we should have had him do, which he didn't do. This book would have made the difference.
Well, my accountant in New York blindly ordered 100 books. And I asked him, I said, how could you haven't seen it yet? He said, it doesn't matter. If it's a place where you can enter your banking and investment things that you have, I want it. I said, why? He said, well, we act as the trustees for most of our accounts. And a young brother and sister came to visit me. Their dad had passed on and gave me a box of stuff. They wanted me to start sorting it out. And I looked at the stuff and there was something missing. And I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I asked them, could I go to his office and rummage and while you're there, and maybe I'll find what I think might be missing, but I don't know what it is. So they agreed that within a day or two, he went with them. And he went to his office, and they were pulling out drawers, looking behind pictures, under drawers for the taped envelope that you see on CSI. And it came to a cabinet. He pulled out a file drawer with the hanging files, and he separated the files, and on the bottom was a manila folder laying flat that nobody had seen. He took it out. And in there was about $250,000 worth of stock certificates from 25, 30 years ago that nobody knew about, nobody knew existed. And his thought was that if there was a book such as this, he was a very organized guy, he would have entered all of those stock certificates into this book so that they would be found upon his incapacity or his death.
Now I'm going to add to that story because I have heard about people, the kids come down, they say, just take everything out of that room. And they go ahead and there's money that's always put into all sorts of places that people hide. They never tell their kids. And there's so many times when people have lost a lot of money. So that's another thing to say. Sure, you want to keep cash around, but let your kids know where you keep the cash.
Yeah. Now, another facet of organizing your family legacy, I pictured everybody gathering up their insurance policies, their documents, their passport, their credit cards, their banking, investing information on this big dining room table. Now, where they got it from, who knows? In the desk drawer, in the kitchen table, the garage, maybe the attic. But I said, why have them put it back where they got it from? So I created the Legacy Organizer, which is a 20-compartment accordion-style organizer with a handle and a lock, and that's where all the things that you have on that table should go. And each section is titled with the same section in the book. So under insurance, you put insurance. Under healthcare, you put healthcare, et cetera, et cetera. So
and
now,
while you're alive, Ed, you can use it because you know where it is.
Well, now if you haven't checked your estate plan for 5 years or 4 years and you think you should, and in the book it tells you whether you should or shouldn't, if certain things have happened, you take this case with you and you go to your advisor and you have everything you need. How many times have you been to an advisor and he says, where's this and where's that, and you don't have it and you have to make another appointment and come back? This way, everything is in one case for your advisor to review based on it being estate or financial or insurance.
I call you a legacy engineer.
A legacy engineer.
Your engineering background created, I believe, this organizational, splendid. I don't even call it. It is a book, but it's a much more than that. What?
Well, there's one more adder I have to tell you about, and that is, there is a generation out there that is totally computer involved. So what we did was we put the entire book into a writable PDF file on a flash drive. So you put the flash drive into your computer. It brings up the entire book. You fill out the book just like you would type anywhere. You type whatever you want into the book. You don't have to do it in one seating. You save the information. You take the flash drive out. It's not saved in your computer. It's not subject to being hacked. It's all on the flash drive. The next couple of days, you want to add some more, put the flash drive in, type some more, save it, take it out, and you go on and on and on. And then you could make all the changes of things that you have that carry expiration dates, like your driver's license, like your passport, like your credit cards, like you have term insurance. If you are that kind of an organized person, you can continually update that information on this flash drive.
Now, how do you get the flash drive? You order it with the book?
Flash drive is offered separately on our website, depending on quantity. And what we further do is we watermark every page with the person's name and birthday for security reasons. Now, if you want to send this information to your daughter or your family, you just email it. And because it has your watermark across the page, you're not going to send it to a stranger. You're only going to send it to your family if you want to.
Now, would someone then just buy that rather than the book?
They can buy this. Some people are visual. Some people are more computer literate than others.
Right.
So the book is a great thing to have where you can open it up and see it. If you are more computer literate, then you'd have to find that chapter, that page in the flash drive.
That is
to get
so
to it.
clever.
So it depends
clever.
Depends on how you were brought up. I'm a visual guy. I like to see it. I love the book.
Well, I understand. Well, I think, though, an elder person would like to fill in the book this way.
That's correct.
But then it can be transposed into this.
Yes.
So that's a very smart thing.
Yes.
I just want to introduce you again to my guest, which is Edward C. Meyers, and he is the co-founder, and I call it the co-founder of the, but he's also the co-writer of Organizing Your Family Legacy, a practical action plan for those you leave behind. If you have the July issue of Boomer Times, we were so thrilled with his, I'm called a book, that we made him a publisher's choice, and you'll be able to see his co-founder Sharon Nick also. They have really created something very valuable. I mean, dollars aren't dropping or dripping from this, but what it is, it will save dollars if you can just find the time, look at it. It as Ed said, it isn't just putting the things down and all of a sudden say, oh, I didn't remember I did that. Maybe I better go look into it. So it's a jar. Gives you a little bit of a jab.
It'll bring a lot of things that you forgot about back to life.
Right. See, I have some policies on insurance that after a certain amount of time I get rebates and all. Now, I did start to write those things down, but so that if something happens to me, people will find that out, but I don't know where they're going to find it. I have it hidden in drawers. It's just what you said, as though you've been to my house and you know exactly what I do. I guess I'm like many people, aren't I?
You certainly are,
I thought I was
Anita.
organized, but even when I go to file things, I said, should I put in this file? Should I put in that file? So I love your accordion case that you're going to be able to give to everybody.
Yeah, I would say, based on our focus groups, 75% of the folks don't have an estate plan, and I would say 90% are not organized. It's as simple as that, and I have a big job ahead of me.
You
and
do.
I'm looking forward to working with you and
Oh,
seeing
I
how
love
we
this.
could
Yes.
spread the word and
Right.
hopefully doing it professionally initially,
Yep.
and then into the bookstores and et cetera.
Well,
as a
I think the
second target
professional way is, as you've been saying all along, is exactly the way to go to get to all the people in the aging business, people who deal with those people.
There's one thing I don't want to overlook as well, and that is if you have an IRA or a 401k or any government-organized retirement plan, you've named the beneficiary. You've named the beneficiary. With all the companies that are buying all the companies and all the companies that are now going digital and downloading all of that paperwork, there's a lot of room for mistakes and errors. So I would recommend that anybody who has an IRA, almost on an annual basis, just call them and ask for a copy of the beneficiary form so that you know it conforms to your wishes.
It's interesting you should mention that we have long-term health care insurance. And every once in a while we get a letter from them and say, would you like to add, because we pay for it monthly, would you like to add someone's name so in case we don't get this, we don't hear from you, we can contact them?
Exactly.
Same kind of a thing,
Yeah,
that they're
exactly.
being very protective, aren't they?
Exactly. And the beneficiary is what the investment organization or the bank will go by. Wills and trusts won't have anything to do with it. It's what you have on that beneficiary line. So if you've done this many, many years ago and things have changed and you don't want that person as the beneficiary, or that person has passed away, or whatever the circumstance, it's a good practice to get a copy of that and maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, just to know that it's up to date with the wishes that you have at that current time.
Well, I have to tell you a funny little story, and I don't think that my son and his wife, they're both attorneys. They're immigration corporate attorneys, and she was getting ready to go somewhere, and her passport expired. Now, this is she just didn't keep up with it. She's very busy, but it's just what you were saying. So then you need to flag those kinds of things, but then to keep your passport in this folio in this little briefcase is a wonderful idea. But I love for the next generation how I'd like to be remembered, which is really beautiful. In fact, I see a little poem here, which is very nice by Jamie Wysocki.
Yes.
And that's but the thing that really attracted me was your pets. Because it's funny. I'm now on I want to rescue a particular kind of a pet, and it's an extraordinarily long application. And I couldn't believe it. Said, well, what if there's a hurricane? What plans do you have since you live in an apartment? And then it said, what if something should happen to you? Who's going to take care of your pet? And I mean, all these questions. And I thought of you.
Well, when I was writing the book, both my daughter, who has a dog, and my daughter-in-law, which has a dog, said, how could you not put in a pet section?
So see, that was so smart of them.
So I sat down with them and I said, well, what do you think we should have in there? What should it say? Have the vet's name, address, the boarding. What are the famous toys of this particular
it has it all
toy?
in here. That was very smart.
It's all in there.
Because, we do see that's when a lot of the dogs are rescued, or cats. Mm-hmm. When someone passes away and now they have to figure out what to do with the animal.
And they don't even know the dog's name.
Yeah.
They don't even know how to call him or what his diet is or what what toys he likes to play with.
Well, I have to just say, and here you have something, of course, on the hospice care. Boy, you didn't leave out very much, did you? Government benefits, estate planning. You explain a lot of that. And in the end, life after death. Oh, that's a lot of interesting things there. I just had on my show before you came here, Science Care, which is whole body donation, which my husband and I are going to do. And so there's a lot to talk about that. I do have the information in a place, and I thought I sent it by email to my son, but he probably lost it. So what happens if all of a sudden we're not there. Someone needs to call them. And so you have to have this kind of, but even if someone has this all made out, they have the flash drive, and they have the briefcase or the, what do you call it? It's
The legacy planner.
legacy planner, the one that's a case that you
Yes.
put everything in. You have to tell your kids there is such a thing.
Absolutely, and where it is.
And where it is.
Where it is. This is
Right.
not something you just want to leave hanging around. You want to put it in a specific place, wherever you want to put it, and then tell your kids where it is, so
Since
they
it
would
has
know.
so much information, should you hide it? Where should you put it?
Well, you could put it in a drawer. It's a book. You know,
But
nobody's
you would have all the
nobody's really going
information.
to steal a book.
Because they don't realize what's really in that book.
Yeah, it's just a book. Put
Uh-huh.
it. You know, the smartest place to put it on a bookshelf with your books.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's a
right?
book.
On a bookshelf with your books. I think
Right.
so.
And hide it in plain sight.
Okay, so the big question is, did you do one for yourself?
I'm in the process.
Oh, see, I know, because I knew that. I mean, I know that you're going to do it, but it's funny. As important as it is, usually you ask people and everybody does something, but they don't do it themselves.
Well,
but you are.
no. I have the file all set up with all the paperwork in it, and now I'm actually putting
You're doing it on the flash drive?
It's being put in the book and the flash drive, so I can go to a professional, put it in his computer, and show him what it looks like.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent, extraordinary idea.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know if you'll win the Nobel Prize, but you'll win a lot of other prizes for this because it's great. So remember, if you want more information on this, go to their website, which is apepress.com. And the name is Edward C. Meyers and Sharon Nick. And you can go on page 22 of the July issue of Boomer Times and see their publisher's choice. And Ed, thank you. I really appreciate your being here with us, and I know we'll be talking to you again.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anita.
Great.
My pleasure.